sometimes you need solitude. And this is, I'm not saying this be a lonely doomer jacking off and playing video game in your room. No. Sometimes you need to retreat away from society in order to go inward, in order to rest, recuperate, recharge. If you saw my videos from last week, I've been experiencing quite a range of emotions, from tired to angry to recently just physically exhausted. And what I realized was that I was pushing so hard that I wasn't creating space to do nothing. Another video I have. But not only do nothing, but do things on my own terms, in the sense that everything I was doing was directed at progress, productivity, grinding. And there is a time and a season for all those things. Naval Ravikant says, work is like, you should work like a lion. You sprint, you go after what you're hunting, and then you rest. A majority of the time, lions are resting until they get hungry and they go for the kill. And so in the same way, you may be in a season where you need to go and rest. And this whole weekend, that's what I've done. I literally, Friday night, Saturday night, despite the mental desire to go out like I have been, to talk to women, to go meet up with friends, I just quieted all that noise and said, what do I need? And I literally asked my body, what do you need? And what was interesting was I had never really asked myself that before. I was grinding it out at the gym, back to back to back, and I would go and lift weights and then leave and then keep going. Then I'd go do resumes. I would do this, do that, work. I never spent time stretching, recovering, doing the things that are necessary for growth. If you listen to Mike Menser or any of his teachings, he talks about how rest is where you grow, right? The recovery period is where your muscles rebuild. And what's so fascinating is I worked out on Friday, lifted. Every time I lift, I try to lift a few more pounds heavier than the week before. So I lifted on Friday. I'm going to share some videos of that on my Instagram. I decline benched 225, which is the most I've done on the barbell decline. And then I left and proceeded as usual. And I would have worked out yesterday on Saturday had it not been for really going through the motions of recovery. And what that looked like for me was burning sage a lot and sitting in that smoke, shaking all that energy, which I've talked about how to release anger and emotions, reading books, laying in bed, sleeping in. I literally did all the things that I wasn't concerned about before. And just to give you an idea of like the intensity that I was working at, I would take cold showers, and I talked a lot about cold showers. I love cold showers, but I was taking them, and every time the cold hit my back, I would say, like, I reject my own weakness, and I would sit in that, stand in it, really. And there's something intense and powerful and masculine about that, but at the same time, there's a little bit masochistic about that too. And so it's finding that what works for you. And so that was process of discovery, still is. But I went really hard on that side of things and didn't give enough attention to the rest side of things. So when I did that on Friday, after the workout, I really just kind of sat, rested, recovered. Yesterday, I was able to really feel my body because I got all the energy, that layer of energy out of the way, and then I was able to really feel the physical body. And I'm sore as shit. Like, oh my God. Like yesterday I felt it all in my back, super tight. So I looked up some yoga videos, did some stretching for the back, was able to loosen that up a bit. Then I woke up this morning, and there's such thing as delayed onset muscle soreness, DOMS. My whole chest is sore as shit. And what's amazing is, in the past, and when I say past, I mean a few weeks, I have not even noticed my soreness because I've been so stuck in the mental that I've foregone the feeling and sensation of the physical body. I've been so trapped up here. And a couple actually other things I did as well is return back to my meditation and breathwork practices. That looks like doing Wim Hof breathing first thing in the morning, followed by Sam Harris's Waking Up app. I returned to those last 2 days, and that's also brought me back into my body. And so I woke up today like super sore, like, oh my God, dude. And like, okay, I gotta make some changes here. I woke up super sore, but I also woke up like pretty invigorated. So now it's like my spirit and my energy is restored. Now it's my body that's still resting and recovering. And so I've been eating really well, which helps with recovery. But stretching, doing yoga, taking time to do nothing, but also just to do things that have no external result or outcome attached to it. I watched 2 episodes of Cowboy Bebop last night. Never seen that show, but I always heard about it. So I watched the first 2 episodes. I was watching a bunch of YouTube yesterday. I was reading for an hour or 2, Lord of the Rings, like just chilling. I didn't really leave the house yesterday. I left the house once to get Chipotle, and that was it. And part of me was like, oh, I shouldn't be at home, but forget it, man. Sometimes you gotta just do that stuff. So, feeling a lot better now, and the key is once you recover and rest, not to think you're invincible when you return to when you recharge the battery, right? Because now I'm feeling better, feeling much more energetic, much more grounded and confident in myself. But I can't let that be a pass for going super hard again. It's really about finding the harmony, and that finding looks different for everybody. Because sometimes I sprint and I'll just go days or weeks at a time where I'm going really, really hard because I like to. And so that's part of it too, is finding like the rhythm of what works for you, and then being like, okay, now's the season for rest, and we're to spend a week or 2 resting. I know that Tim Ferriss, I don't know if it's once a quarter. I think it's once a quarter. He'll go off like on like a week sabbatical. I don't know if he still does that, but I know he was doing that, where he'd go off on a trip somewhere. My uncle is just going, I think he's leaving tomorrow on a 6-day pilgrimage, which essentially is 6 days of solitude. And you get a cabin in like the woods somewhere, and then they feed you, and that's pretty much it. So it's interesting. And I've done stuff like that too, where I rented a small little tiny house, tiny cabin in upstate New York, and went there for 4 days and spent time by myself. And so I know for men, but also creative people in general, solitude is necessary. And I'm not saying go full monk mode or whatever they call it, where you're off the grid for a year. I don't know. You could do that if you want, whatever speaks to you. But that is what has worked for me in terms of recharging, restoring, and returning to my energy. So hope it's been of some help. See you in the next one.